I noticed it when the hallway light clicked off and the house settled into that late-night hush that makes every little noise sound louder. I'd been at the shop until sunset, knees still cramped from hours on the bench, and I came in thinking about nothing more complicated than a cold dinner and an early bed. The muffled glow from the living room leaked under the door, and as I passed, Emma, my wife, was on the sofa, thumb scrolling. Her screen flashed, and a preview line cut past me so quick I almost missed it. Hope your useless husband doesn't notice. For a second I stood there in nothing but my work shirt and the smell of sawdust on my hands, convinced I'd misread it. Maybe it was sarcasm. Maybe a joke with a friend. But Emma's hand slammed the phone face down with the kind of speed that made me look twice. She didn't look up. I could have confronted her then, could have stormed in and demanded an explanation. But I'd learned there's a different power in patience. I loaded the dishwasher, folded a towel, and kissed the top of her head when she pretended to be asleep. Inside, something tightened like a wire. That night, while she slept with the television still murmuring, I used the code she'd trusted me with years ago when we first moved into our Charleston row house. It wasn't hard to unlock. The messages were uglier than the preview, flirty lines, late-night meetups, and a nickname, Bossman. That should have stuck in my throat the way it stuck in the thread. Emma laughed at pictures with him and mocked me in voice notes, the kind of small, cutting jokes you think are harmless until you hear them recorded and sent like contraband. The next morning I pretended that nothing had happened. I packed her lunch, kissed her forehead, and waved as she grabbed her bag and left for the downtown office. She gave me that practiced, distracted smile and a "love you, babe" that felt like glass between us. By the time the elevator doors closed, I had a plan forming in my head, slow, careful, methodical. If they thought I was too blind to notice, I would make sure they underestimated me only once. Over the next week I moved like a ghost through our life together. I refined the evidence, screenshots, saved voice notes, timestamps, a string of location pins that tracked dinners and hotels that weren't listed in her calendar. I made copies and stored them on an encrypted drive. I recorded where legal and compiled. I watched their patterns. Lunches that stretched into evenings, business meetings that took place in bars, an expense on our joint card that read like a tab for two. Each small proof stitched together the picture I already feared was true. When I had enough, I did the thing that felt like both survival and retribution. I reached out to human resources at her company. I emailed politely clinical, attaching the messages and the records. I sent the same package, nicely printed and bound, to his wife, because if there was one cruelty I refused to offer, it was the luxury of ignorance. It happened as if in slow motion. Management called him into a meeting midweek. He was placed on leave that afternoon. By Friday, his wife had confronted him. By Saturday, their marriage was unraveling in a couple of hours of phone calls and texted admissions. Emma came home the same evening in tears, breathless and dizzy from everything. The suspension, the gossip, the way the office had turned on its head. She clung to the couch cushions and blamed me, calling me cruel, asking what I'd done. I'd watched how the town treated rumors before. In a place like ours, tight streets where everyone sorts of belonged to someone else, reputations flipped like coins. Only this time I held both sides of the coin. When I laid the printed messages on the kitchen table and pushed them forward, the color drained from her face. The small jokes she'd sent to him looked obscene in black and white, the voice messages sounding like a betrayal I could feel on my skin. She tried to explain, an affair of the heart, an emotional slide, he made her feel wanted, but the words were thin, transparent. She hadn't just flirted with temptation, she'd been building a secret life. "Do you think I'm stupid?" I asked, and the question landed harder than either of us expected. She begged, she cried, she promised to go to counseling, to cut off contact, to save our marriage. The house echoed with the same apologies couples give in rooms where the furniture still remembers better days. But trust isn't something you can stitch back with soft words. It's a ledger, and she'd been writing in someone else's ink. We separated not long after I filed. It wasn't violent, it wasn't dramatic. I walked away with an economy of possessions and the dignity of someone who'd refused to be made the punchline. Emma lost more than a relationship. Her job evaporated when HR completed its review and notated misuse of client time and conflicts of interest. Her coworker was fired. The town murmured. People who had once waved from porches now crossed the street. They said I'd gotten revenge. Maybe. But revenge tastes hollow if it's the only thing you feed on. For me, it was accountability. I didn't want to watch a life go on in dishonesty. I wanted transparency, and if the truth would hurt, then it had to be laid naked so the healing could begin somewhere honest. Months later, my days have a different shape. My bench is scarred by work and healing. Furniture I craft with my hands, not my heart. The house is quieter but steadier. I teach a woodworking class at the community center on Tuesday nights. People who used to nod politely now bring their kids by to learn a trade. I sleep better. Sometimes, driving home, I see Emma's silhouette in a storefront window, once familiar, now ghostly. I don't turn the car around. The affair is a closed ledger now. The eggs in my fridge are mine to scramble. I didn't want to destroy her life for revenge. I wanted to stop letting myself be the joke in someone else's message thread. We were foolish to think marriages are bulletproof. But we're also capable of rebuilding. I got suspicious, yes, but suspicion led to proof, and proof led to choice. I chose not to stay in a life that treated me as an afterthought. I chose to walk away. And in that choosing, I found something like freedom. If you found this story of betrayal and reclaiming your power compelling, hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life stories of resilience and justice. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever faced a betrayal that changed your life? Your story could inspire others to take control and stand strong.